Hey guys, how we doing and how we feeling today? I'm your host Emilio Fernandez and welcome back to the Pop and Bob podcast. Now on this episode we're going to talk about and review Lady Gaga's 7th studio album, MAYHEM. Now Lady Gaga needs no introduction whatsoever. She's a household name since the late 2000s. So, okay. What genres comprise this album? They are mainly three, which are synth pop, disco, and dance pop. Leading up to the album release, we had two singles, which were Disease and Abracadabra, as well as before Disease, we had a standalone single, which became part of the album, which was Die With A Smile with Bruno Mars. Now, onto the album itself. So the album is 14 tracks and 53 minutes long, so it's on the longer side of a listening session. So we start with the first track, which is Disease, the lead single I already mentioned. The first of my standout tracks on the album. This is a strong opening track. This is a lead single, as I already said. And it really made sense to be the song to kick off this new era. And it's also pretty radio friendly. As the production kicks in, it is made pretty apparent that Lady Gaga is going back to her pop roots with this darker sound. And in this song, Lady Gaga talks about facing her fears, inner demons, and the darkness within, yet accepting that the fact that one can't always best such forces. So this is a pretty interesting song to start us off. Not only was it the lead single, as I already said, the song to kick off this whole new era for Gaga, it's also the opening track. So the subject matter here is pretty interesting because, as I said, it's one of those songs that talks about facing your worst fears, your inner demons, all that jazz head on. All that darkness, and coming to terms with the fact that you can't always, like, as much as you fight those things, those forces, sometimes you can't beat them. So you kind of have to learn to live with them. Okay, so we move on to track number 2, Abracadabra, another one of my standout tracks on the album. This is the second single, as I already said. One of the strongest tracks on the album, without a doubt. I would say it's the strongest track on the album. It's also easily the most radio-friendly track on the album, as it's by far the most upbeat and dance floor ready, which is pretty synonymous with Lady Gaga. This is pop perfection. This track had a lot of potential to be a hit, but unfortunately it failed to enter the Billboard Hot 100 top 10 by just a few spots. I believe it peaked at around number 12, so it was just 2 spots away from cracking the top 10, which is pretty unfortunate, but that's what happened. And in this song, Lady Gaga talks about facing the challenge of life head on and finding the magic in it along the way. So when I first heard this track, I was like, okay, Lady Gaga is back. Like, she is channeling her old eras, especially the whole, the Fame and the Fame Monster eras. So I really liked what she did with this song because, yeah, it was kind of a return to form with this darker sound as it was with Disease, but I believe that this track really cemented that. Disease was the start of it, was the start of the return to form, but this track, Abracadabra, really solidified that. Really made it really clear. And yeah, I mean, the subject matter is pretty straightforward here. As I said, it's just talking about facing life head on, all the challenges that go with that, but also trying to find the bright side of it all during the process. Not just struggle, but really like find the good things in that. Okay, so track number 3, Garden of Eden, another one of my standouts. This is one of the strongest tracks on the album. The production is pretty crisp here. This track has a lot of replay value, as some listeners may not get it the first time around, but find themselves appreciating it more with each subsequent listen. And in this song, Lady Gaga talks about the temptations that come with a good night out, like being in the club and engaging with a potential fling. So it's pretty interesting that Lady Gaga touches on this whole like Garden of Eden, like Adam and Eve, the poisonous apple, all this story that we all know, but uses it to convey a pretty common message, I would say, in music, like just your run-of-the-mill, we're having a good night out and you're like in the club and you see a person that you like and all the temptations that come with that. Like, am I gonna flirt with this person? Am I gonna get like a hookup? I don't know, whatever it may be. Basically, this song talks about all that, which is pretty interesting. Now, track number 4, Perfect Celebrity. The listener may think they're in for a slower track, but the instrumentation electrifies the sound during the chorus. Lady Gaga's sharp vocals go hand in hand with this more rock-oriented sound. And in this song, Lady Gaga examines her relationship with fame in the music industry, separating her real self, Stephanie, and her public persona, Lady Gaga. So yeah, in case you didn't know, Lady Gaga's real name is Stephanie. And yeah, this song is pretty interesting because, as I said, it's one of those songs, we've heard it from many artists that talk about their relationship with fame. And in this case, it's what do you normally get from this type of songs? Basically, it's saying stuff like, like the fame, as Lady Gaga made a whole album about it, the Fame Monster, her second album, delving into that darker side of fame and the price you have to pay to be famous, at least at the level of Lady Gaga, and not having a lot of privacy or not having privacy at all. And yeah, just basically dealing with all of that. And as the title suggests, what the perfect celebrity entails. Okay, so track number 5, Vanish Into You. All I have to say about this track is that it's a grower, and because the first time I heard it, it's one of the few songs that I didn't like at the initial listen, but the more I've listened to it, the more I've appreciated it, but not anything else I can add to that. Now, track number 6, Killa, featuring Gesaffelstein. The weakest track on the album, I have to say. However, as with the previous track, I've come to appreciate it a little more with each subsequent listen. But still, for me at least, it's the weakest track on the album. Okay, so, and Gesaffelstein's production is not very strong, I have to say, although it slightly improves towards the end of the track. Like, it sounds promising somewhat towards the end, but then it reverts to what the production was during the rest of the song, so it still didn't really grab me like that. And in this song, Lady Gaga makes it clear that she's someone that shouldn't be messed with, a truly intimidating force. So pretty straightforward story here, so we're gonna move on to track number 7, Zombie Boy, another one of my standouts. The disco sound matches the track's theme quite nicely because in this song, Lady Gaga talks about staying up all night, partying away, waking up feeling zombie-like the following day as a result. So yeah, another pretty straightforward song here, just staying up all night, an all-nighter, partying the night away, and waking up the next day feeling like a zombie. So yeah, nothing else I can add to that. Now, track number 8, Love Drug, another one of my standouts. This is one of the strongest tracks on the album. The instrumentation, in this case the electric guitar, here is impeccable. In this song, Lady Gaga talks about a relationship that has come and gone, one that she thought would last until the end of time. She misses her ex pretty badly as she savors the last words he spoke to her. She doesn't want to feel these feelings and cry about it. Instead, she needs a dose of that lost love, which would feel as addictive as a drug. She just doesn't want to feel lonely. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the title Love Drug really is what the song is about. So it's not misleading at all. It's pretty straightforward. And yeah, I mean, there are loves that really do feel as addictive as a drug, which is pretty dangerous, obviously, because you don't want to feel dependent on anyone, much less on a partner, on a romantic partner. So we really have to learn to be by ourselves, to be independent in that way and not be codependent with anyone else, and really just not fall into a love like this as a vice. Instead, just treat it the way it is, just a love, but nothing else. Like, not make it toxic, Okay, moving on to track number 9, How Bad Do You Want Me? Okay, so this sounds like a Taylor Swift song, I have to say. And I'm not the only one. I've seen a lot of people say that online, especially when the album came out. It sounds like Out of the Woods, for example, by Taylor Swift, particularly because of the production in parts like the chorus and Lady Gaga's vocal delivery in the chorus. And in this song, Lady Gaga confronts her partner about the idyllic good girl that harbors in his mind, as a way of telling him that it's pointless to think about such a girl when she's the real deal. So yeah, so far Lady Gaga's been really straightforward with her lyrics, I have to say, because in this song it's called How Bad Do You Want Me, and basically this guy is like, he has the image of the perfect girl in his mind, but Lady Gaga's like, hey, I'm not that girl, but how bad do you want me? Like, I'm me, like, I'm not that version of a girl that you want me to be, but you can learn to appreciate me and love me the way that I am. So yeah, basically that. Now, track number 10, Don't Call Tonight. Lady Gaga delivers her best vocal performance up until this point in the album. In this song, Lady Gaga tells her lover not to call her at night, as she knows it'll lead to a hookup and therefore is something meaningless. So another pretty straightforward song here. It's called Don't Call Tonight, and yeah, basically just telling a lover, like, hey, don't call me tonight because I know that if you do that, we'll end up hooking up, and that's not what I want because it'll be meaningless, and I want something with true meaning, with a purpose. Now, track number 11, Shadow of a Man. In this song, Lady Gaga opens up about what it was like being the only girl in the room for much of her career. And okay, so this message, this rhetoric, I believe it has been told by many female artists in the past already. But obviously, I appreciate when another female artist comes along and adds something to the ongoing narrative. And yeah, I mean, it is pretty unfortunate that female artists have to feel this way, that have to feel that they're in the shadow of a man. But that's the reality of the music industry, unfortunately. Now, track number 12, The Beast. Not a very exciting track, especially because of the somewhat dull production, I have to say. And this song's best feature is undoubtedly Lady Gaga's vocals. And I mean, they have to be, like, if nothing else about the song is quite enticing, then yeah, I mean, Lady Gaga at least has to deliver vocally. And I mean, we always know, we know that she always does deliver on that front. Okay, so moving on to track number 13, Blade of Grass, another one of my standout tracks on the album. The instrumentation, in this case the piano here, is stunning, appropriate for the romantic story being told. The key change towards the end of the track helps in emphasizing the narrative, and Lady Gaga's potent vocals only add to this emotionally charged song. And I really love and appreciate when artists do this with their songs, when there's a key change implemented towards the end of the song, obviously. That's how key changes work. And I love when they do this because it really makes the song more dynamic. Like, in the case that you're really not enjoying the song as much, the key change really helps in freshening, I can't pronounce that. Making things fresher for the song. So yeah, it's a really nice implementation in songs. And okay, so in this song, Lady Gaga talks about a tender moment she shared with her fiance, Michael, back when he asked her how she wanted him to propose to her. And I have to say that, well, I read obviously about the story behind the song. Obviously, I didn't know of this until I read it, and it's really touching. Like, it really is a kind of love that we all want to have. And yeah, Lady Gaga really made this song something really special. Okay, and that brings us to the final track on this album, track number 14, Die With A Smile, with Bruno Mars. So this is a strong closing track, although it doesn't really fit on the album, I have to say, because, as I said at the beginning, it was released as a collaboration between Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars prior to the album's rollout. So the actual lead single was Disease. So with this fact may indicate that this song was originally meant to be a standalone single. I mean, and obviously Lady Gaga was pretty smart and savvy in including this track on the album because of all the streams it has. I believe it now has over 2 billion streams, so it's a smash hit, obviously. So she had to include it, even though it may have not fit on the album, as I said. But anyways, this song was a #1 smash hit on the Billboard Hot 100 and won a Grammy for Best Pop Duo/Group Performance. Bruno has amazing vocal chemistry with Lady Gaga. This was the first time that they collaborated, and boy, did they did such a good job here. And in this song, Lady Gaga and Bruno talk about loving someone so much that you'd want to be next to them if the world ended. This person is your ride or die, so no matter what happens, you'll stick by them until the end of time. So we close this album with another pretty straightforward song. I mean, it's not anything bad to be straightforward. On the contrary, it at least helps in making things clearer for the listener because not all of us can dissect pretty deep lyrics. So it helps to have the story being told in a simplistic way. So yeah, basically this song is about having a person, it can be interpreted as a lover or your best friend, a friend, whoever it may be, that is your ride or die, that if the world came to an end, you'll die with a smile knowing that they're beside you. Now, that was the album. Overall, Lady Gaga delivered an album on par with her previous album, Chromatica. The production is mostly consistent. Lady Gaga managed to return to her roots while still keeping things fresh. And this is a solid pop album. Now, when comparing this album to the rest of Lady Gaga's discography, do I consider this to be her best album yet? I would say no. I would say that The Fame, her debut studio album, is her best album yet. Now, what score do I give Mayhem? I give it a strong 4 out of 5 stars. So yeah, guys, that was our review for Mayhem by Lady Gaga. Before I go, make sure to follow Pop and Bop on all social media for more content. It's basically at Pop and Bop everywhere, so not hard to miss that. And yeah, guys, this has been Pop and Bop. I'm Emilio Fernandez. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. See you.